Why throw my lemons like that for? Why are you taking my product
They're
and you're throwing it
molding
away?
you.
In your opinion only.
What?
What part of that don't you freaking understand?
What do you mean, freaking understand?
Yeah, what part of that don't you understand?
Harry. Yes, sir. Got to talk to them. Come on.
At least talk.
What table's this? Let's go, Warner.
No. Then wake up. You wake up. Idiot. You shouldn't even be in the kitchen. Get out. Go ahead. Get out here.
A sous chef that can't cook fish, a head chef that's just moping around doesn't care. This is a joke.
Kitchen Nightmares has given viewers countless memorable moments over its run, but nothing captures attention quite like the chefs who made Gordon Ramsay truly question his sanity. We start with Doug from the Se-scape Inn, all the way back in 2007, during the inaugural season of Kitchen Nightmares USA. Doug was a chef whose resistance to change exemplified the problems Ramsay often encounters. But even before Chef Ramsay arrived at the restaurant to help out, Doug's initial reaction to hearing of Gordon's presence was to call it a slap in the face to his expertise.
I went to the Culinary Institute of America. I worked in successful restaurants, world-renowned.
When Gordon criticized his food, Doug's response was simply F him, establishing immediately that constructive feedback would not be welcome. The quality of Doug's cooking reflected his closed-minded approach. His presentation featured an overwhelming amount of parsley garnish on each dish, leaving Ramsay astonished at its presence everywhere.
It's a sign of a dated restaurant. Sprinkle it on your wife, but not on the fucking plates.
When Gordon called one crab cake a crap cake after it disintegrated on the plate, Doug appeared genuinely offended by the criticism.
I've been doing this for 38 years. I'm not happy at all. I think he needs to back off.
What elevated Doug from merely incompetent to potentially dangerous was his approach to kitchen hygiene. During inspection, Gordon discovered fish kept inside a dog food bag, 8-day-old rice that had been served to customers, and most terrifying of all was a piece of molding pork that was being eaten by Doug, bit by bit, grossing out Ramsay even more.
That was for me, actually.
That's for you.
Yeah, the one with
Don't eat it. Don't fucking eat it.
I already had.
You've eaten it.
The walk-in refrigerator was described as having grime caked on everything, though Doug maintained they cleaned regularly. Perhaps most telling about Doug's professional attitude was his refusal to even taste Gordon's food. After Ramsay taught the staff a fresh bass dish to modernize the menu, Doug refused, claiming he knows what striped bass tastes like. This shocked Gordon, who noted he'd never met a chef who wouldn't taste a dish from him.
God, that's the first time a guy's never tasted my food. Now I'm seriously insulted.
Imagine Chef Ramsay offering you a taste of a dish he just cooked in front of you, and you don't even want to take a bite? Unbelievable. The situation ultimately became untenable, requiring Ramsay to implore the owner to fire Doug mid-episode, an uncommon but necessary intervention. Doug exited amid profanity and complaints, leaving behind a legacy of resistance and substandard practices. Fortunately, Chef Ramsay managed to get Doug to clean the place before he was fired. Moving from outright defiance to complacency, we find Casimiro at Charlie's Italian Bistro. Having worked at the establishment for over a decade, he had earned owner Tatiana's complete trust, a relationship that allowed problematic practices to continue unchallenged. The menu revealed ongoing culinary negligence. Casimiro served raw, frozen ravioli and poorly microwaved lasagna, which remained cold in parts. Most egregiously, the meatballs were store-bought frozen products, a fundamental failure for an Italian restaurant. The kitchen's operational problems extended beyond food quality into fundamental workflow issues. Since Casimiro spoke only Spanish, while most staff communicated in English, the kitchen functioned with minimal verbal coordination, creating a silent, disconnected environment ill-suited to high-volume service. Ramsay challenged the kitchen crew to make homemade Italian-style meatballs. While Daniela, the sous chef, nailed it, Ramsay caught Casimiro up to something strange.
What did you do? You didn't fry them off? He's not even frying them off, he's just boiling them in sauce?
Our boy Casimiro cooked up Mexican-style albondigas, boiled meatballs in tomato sauce, rather than pan-frying them. It turns out that, despite working in an Italian restaurant for more than 10 years, he still didn't know how to cook a meatball the authentic Italian way. Due to his lack of knowledge, he was given a one-on-one lesson from Gordon Ramsay himself on the correct technique. You'd think after that he would be good to go, right? However, even after demonstrating the correct cooking method, the moment Ramsay turned his back during service, Casimiro started burning the meatballs in the pan.
What the fuck have you done? Stop. No, listen, fucking donkey.
When confronted about his obvious cooking error, Casimiro responded not with concern, but with laughter. This inappropriate reaction escalated into an unprecedented response. Casimiro simply stopped cooking altogether, folding his arms and refusing to continue service despite mounting orders, effectively staging a mid-service strike after being criticized. This work stoppage brought the entire restaurant operation to a standstill. Ramsay, rarely at a loss for words, succinctly expressed his assessment.
Really? How about telling your fucking chef?
Okay, you cook it.
Now he's getting upset with me because I caught him out.
The culmination of these issues finally broke through Tatiana's loyalty. She agreed to terminate Casimiro's employment that same night, ending a decade-long professional relationship. When she goes to have that talk with Casimiro, he at first refers to her as my child. Speaking to him in Spanish, she tells him she is sorry, but she has to let him go.
No, ya sabía yo.
Casimiro walked out, refusing a hug from Tatiana. From calling her my child 1 second to walking away the next, Casimiro may go down as the worst chef in the entire history of kitchen nightmares.
Chile relleno, por favor.
While some chefs on this list failed through arrogance or apathy, Pearla and Mamarita's presents a different dynamic. Someone fundamentally unsuited for their position, but protected by personal connection. Despite 6 years in the kitchen, Pearla lacked formal training, a deficiency that became increasingly apparent throughout Gordon's intervention. Investigation of the kitchen revealed systemic reliance on frozen ingredients. Over $12,000 worth of frozen, outdated stock, some dating back a full year. Pearla's creative limitations became evident when challenged to develop a fresh menu item. After considerable struggle, Pearla unveiled her masterpiece creation.
Garlic breast.
Garlic breast with
Garlic and salt.
Producing essentially a bland piece of chicken with a bit of garlic that failed to impress either Gordon or the staff when compared to Laura's attempt and Gordon's demonstration dish. This exercise clearly illustrated Pearla's lack of culinary imagination and technical foundation. These issues became crucial during the relaunch with new menu items. Pearla struggled to ensure consistent quality and fundamental techniques. Steaks were served at incorrect temperatures, side dishes were overcooked, and plates were incomplete. More worrisome was her failure to organize the kitchen team, leading to significant confusion and delays. Gordon warned Laura that Pearla was not cut out to be head chef, but Laura continued to support her head chef, even taking her outside to reassure her that everything would turn out all right.
It'll be okay. I promise you it'll be okay.
The boundary between professional and personal relationship had blurred considerably, prompting Gordon's sharp question to the owner, Laura.
Are you her boss or are you her friend?
I am her boss and
Wrong. You're her friend.
This query became the central examination of the episode, highlighting how personal loyalty can undermine business standards. The situation eventually required Gordon to deliver an unvarnished assessment to Laura. Pearla is not capable of running the kitchen.
She's not equipped to work a line. There's not 1 ounce of line material in that woman.
This truth prompted an emotional scene where Laura confronted the possibility of losing someone she considered her right hand, an early business savior. Although Laura hesitated to dismiss Pearla on camera, updates after the show indicated that Pearla was removed from her role as head chef soon after filming concluded, subsequently undergoing retraining and reassignment in catering. Ultimately, however, it became clear that Pearla was never truly fired and continued as the head chef. Mamarita's did not survive much longer and eventually closed its doors. As we continue our examination, Chef Pinto of Cafe 36 introduces a particularly memorable linguistic contribution to Kitchen Nightmare's lexicon, the concept of fresh frozen food.
Keep it fresh frozen.
Fresh frozen?
Yes, chef.
There's no such thing. It's either fresh or it's frozen.
This contradiction in terms perfectly encapsulates the confused culinary approach that defined his kitchen. During Gordon's inspection of Cafe 36 refrigeration, he discovered containers of partially frozen, waterlogged food and week-old pre-cooked risotto being served to customers. When questioned about this practice, Pinto offered the contradictory explanation that they cooked fresh food and then immediately froze it for later use, calling this process fresh frozen. Gordon's disbelief at this term, fresh frozen, highlighted the fundamental contradiction. Pinto had transformed what should be daily fresh preparation into a batch cooking system, where even delicate dishes like seafood risotto were made in advance and reheated. Gordon directly called this the lazy way of serving food, to which Pinto could only offer a sheepish grin.
Frozen!
It was a fresh frozen. If you keep it frozen, fresh frozen, it tastes more fresh.
Despite claiming Italian training, Pinto's technical execution fell dramatically short of professional standards. Ramsay declared the risotto one of the worst he has ever tasted, finding it mushy, overly salty, and clearly aged. Investigation confirmed the rice was 8 days old, yet still being served customers. Appetizers demonstrated similar problems. A duck salad presented as an overly sweet combination of candied walnuts and fruit, while salmon crepes arrived soggy and were revealed to be made from store-bought crepes. Gordon's reaction to the latter was particularly visceral, as he gagged and labeled them the crap of the day.
It's just like really bad sex. It keeps going on, and at some point you just wish it would be over.
Pinto's reaction to criticism revealed a significant disconnect. He appeared genuinely surprised by Gordon's assessment. During the kitchen team meeting, Ramsay expressed shock upon learning that Pinto had culinary training, as his fundamental techniques were so inadequate. Pinto remained largely silent as Gordon criticized his use of old food and defrosted produce. The kitchen's operational problems extended to timing and communication. Pinto and his sous chef Barney were described as not working well together at all, with minimal communication during service. This dysfunction resulted in extensive delays. Customers waited 45 minutes to an hour for entrees, and many dishes were returned by dissatisfied diners.
Pinto has one speed, and that speed is fuck you.
Throughout those issues, Pinto maintained a mild-mannered, almost passive demeanor. When Gordon directly suggested to the owners that the change I would make is Pinto, essentially recommending replacement, the chef offered minimal protest. As Ramsay summarized to the owners, the engine room, the kitchen, had been compromised under Pinto's management, and fixing Cafe 36 required showing the chef the door. We find out that Pinto departed from Cafe 36 permanently the next day. It's unclear if he resigned or was let go.
You never had a bad day?
I do have bad days all the time.
Obviously, you having one today. Just relax, take a chill pill, reload, and do it again.
Moving from passive incompetence to active hostility, Chef Eric of Casa Roma presents a study in confrontational resistance. From the outset, Eric positioned himself as an adversary rather than collaborator. His initial response to learning of Gordon's critique was a dismissive, "kiss my ass," establishing his combative stance before even meeting Ramsay.
People say, well, he's a 5-star Michelin chef. Okay, so he's got 4 tires and a spare. Kiss my ass. That means nothing to me.
Eric's operational deficiencies quickly became apparent. During Gordon's sampling of Casa Roma's menu, the kitchen took over an hour to deliver food, creating such extensive delays that Ramsay resorted to jogging laps around the empty dining room to pass time. When dishes finally arrived, they proved deeply disappointing. Soggy stuffed mushrooms, a limp deluxe pizza, and a Monte Cristo sandwich visibly dripping grease when Gordon squeezed it. What set Eric apart was not just the low quality of his food, but his outright rejection of any feedback. He ignored Chef Ramsay's direct criticism, which described the situation as effing embarrassing.
So cut the limp dick excuses and give me some fucking respect for the restaurant alone.
It was a bad fucking day, pal. Now you're pushing it. Enough.
During dinner service, when a customer returned a meatball entree, Eric's reaction epitomized his attitude. I ain't got time for that. Dismissing customer experience as an inconvenience rather than the restaurant's primary concern. This prompted a critical question to owner Nyla. Why are you even employing a chef that is so incompetent? This inquiry highlighted that Eric had lost credibility not only with Ramsay, but with his colleagues, especially as it became apparent that the young sous chef, Drew, demonstrated more capability and dedication. Eric left the kitchen to go outside for a cigarette. Gordon decided to follow Eric for a more personal chat, hoping to get to the heart of the matter. Eric asks Chef Ramsay for a chance to reload and give it another go. Ramsay looks a bit doubtful, but decides to give Eric one last shot.
But I get to reload one time. I won't get caught flat-footed again. You bet your ass on that.
The final assessment came after inspection revealed deeply concerning storage conditions. Rotten food and unidentifiable substances throughout the facility, including the bathroom. This neglect in basic sanitation standards underscored Eric's fundamental disregard for operational standards. Finding herself without support for Eric's continued employment, Nyla terminated him on the spot. Eric's departure was as combative as his tenure. He exited cursing, complaining, "I got effed on that deal," as he left, positioning himself as a victim rather than acknowledging responsibility. The contrast following his departure was immediate and stark. Kitchen atmosphere improved noticeably, with sous chef Drew stepping into the leadership role Eric had failed to provide. In fact, rumor has it that Eric is still reloading somewhere.
My food is good, and if he critiques it like I seen him critique other people's food, I'm gonna probably throw it at him.
The pattern of hostility continues with Chef Eric of PJ's Steakhouse, whose combination of attitude and performance created particularly memorable television. From his initial interview, Eric established his resistant stance, remarking about Gordon.
I'm not intimidated by Gordon, and if he can help us, great. If he can't, then he can go fuck himself.
A comment that immediately placed him among the show's most infamous participants. The context was significant. Owners Joe and Madeline had invested $2 million transforming a pub into an upscale steakhouse. Yet business was failing largely due to Eric's culinary execution and work ethic. When Ramsay sampled the menu, he discovered plastic fragments and crab cakes and improperly handled steaks that had been microwaved. Fundamental errors for a steakhouse chef.
I have no idea where that plastic came from. Just happened to appear. I don't even have plastic in my kitchen.
The kitchen inspection revealed concerning conditions: rotten produce, slimy meat, and general neglect. This prompted Ramsay to conclude that no one cared about anything at PJ's, while Eric observed with folded arms and apparent indifference to the state of his workplace. Realizing he can't get through to either the owners or Eric, Chef Ramsay devises a plan. He takes the entire staff to a local movie theater to show them footage of interviews he filmed with locals called PJ's, the word on the street. The customers in the film who were interviewed don't hold back. They bluntly describe their disappointing experiences in the past at PJ's, with the main complaints revolving around the quality of the food. Still, Eric just sits there, laughing at what he hears and stuffing his face with popcorn.
I wanted to turn around and smack Eric in the mouth. He's behind us, munching on popcorn with a grin in his face.
When asked, Eric stated that he didn't believe what he saw in the film, suggesting that the comments were exaggerated. After one last chance during dinner service, Eric still sent out cold, congealed food, leading Ramsay to halt service midway through the meal to protect the restaurant's reputation. This decisive action prompted the owners to take action. Later, amid a fierce thunderstorm, they terminated his employment at the end of the night.
If my shit's not good enough, let him find somebody else, because I'm fucking done with it.
By the conclusion of Ramsay's intervention, PJ's had been renamed and conceptually reset, with Eric's departure representing the first essential step toward recovery. Next, we head to Atlanta, Georgia, home to Park's Edge, a struggling restaurant owned by two friends, Richard and Jorge. Now, you might think Jorge was a bad chef from this episode.
Why throw my lemons like that for? Why are you taking my product
They're
and you're throwing it
molding
away?
you, Pillock.
And certainly one could make the argument for that. Throwing himself into his first chef's job, Jorge didn't believe in playing it safe. Instead of concentrating on the smooth running of the kitchen, he takes an experimental approach to the menu, which isn't always successful. Such was the case with Jorge's grilled lettuce that left Ramsay baffled.
It's a grilled lettuce. I mean, can't go wrong.
When Gordon headed back to the kitchen and confronted Jorge about his inedible food, he wanted to know where he learned to put such strange flavor combinations together.
What restaurant did you train in?
I went to school. What do you mean you went to school?
As bad as Jorge was, it was sous chef Matt from Park's Edge who earned the distinction as the worst chef through a single, spectacular display of misplaced ego. Upon seeing the new menu created by Chef Ramsay and his team, Matt openly stated to everyone that the new menu sucks. He specifically objected to the inclusion of chicken wings, believing they were inappropriate for a fine dining establishment.
Don't feel comfortable frying a chicken wing.
Why not?
Unless she wants to put on a pair of orange shirts and go out there and serve it.
They're here to train us, okay?
Matt thought serving chicken wings is akin to working at a Hooters restaurant, hence the reference to orange shorts, thereby insulting one of Chef Ramsay's female staff members, sous chef Andy, who was there to train the employees on how to prepare the new dishes. Despite a stern talking to by Jorge, Matt still didn't think serving chicken wings on the menu was a wise decision.
So how about a little bit of respect and showing these two
How about a
guys?
little fucking respect for a fine dining restaurant and not putting fucking chicken wings on the menu.
Telling Gordon that he's just a guy who knows when a menu sucks. Line cook Matt is told by Jorge and Gordon to keep his opinions to himself and get back to work. Richard was less than thrilled too.
If he fucks it up for me tonight, I will literally do something.
Yet, as orders hit the kitchen, Matt couldn't keep his opinion on the chicken wings to himself. Gordon had to step in to remind him that the menu options aren't his decision, as he isn't the restaurant owner, or even a head chef.
I've fucking forgotten more than you know. Just serve the food and shut the fuck up, smart ass.
Matt continued to cook, but not well. He tried to send out a dry, overcooked piece of pork. Jorge accused him of trying to deliberately ruin their relaunch night. When he talked back to the chef, telling him to chill out with the drama, Jorge threw him out of the kitchen, physically, effectively terminating his employment in front of staff and diners. This represented one of the rare instances on the show where a chef is dismissed during the actual relaunch service. Even during his exit, Matt continued expressing grievances, maintaining his position that the concept was beneath his standards. The immediate impact of Matt's departure was telling. The kitchen functioned more smoothly once the negative influence was removed. The remaining team pulled together, expediting food efficiently, and Ramsay commended Jorge for stepping into stronger leadership without Matt's oppositional presence.
I'm asking for fucking help. Then wake up! You wake up! Idiot! Fucking come in here and help me instead of running your job!
Moving on to Norwalk, Ohio, we meet Joe Nagy of Mill Street Bistro. As both owner and self-proclaimed chef, Joe combined the worst aspects of culinary incompetence with absolute conviction in his own excellence, despite having no formal training.
I am self-taught by old-school Europeans, master chefs that had a liking to me because of my passion.
How can someone teach you to be self-taught? Isn't that a contradiction? Anyways, from Gordon's arrival at the Countryside Bistro, tensions were evident. Joe insisted everything was locally sourced, fresh and exceptional. Claims immediately contradicted by Ramsay's taste testing. Ramsay was also notably unimpressed when presented with one of Joe's tiny micro carrots, which Joe appeared to take great pride in. He explained that these were not intended for consumption, but were merely a garnish for the plate. It seemed that Ramsay didn't hold them in high regard, and this really seemed to bother Joe.
Little petite carrots that go there. Those same carrots go to the White House. Those same carrots go to the 5 Seasons.
Ah, the 5 Seasons. Much better than the 4 Seasons, in my opinion. After trying some of the appetizers, Gordon moved on to the main course, Joe's piece de resistance, elk medallions on a grilled portobello mushroom, with the elk meat sourced from Joe's farm. However, Gordon struggled with the impossibly tough piece of elk steak, calling it tough as boots. Still, Joe remained defiant about the elk he raised on his own farm.
He's dead wrong. That is a tender piece of elk. It's tender, it's delicious.
Even though he struggled to chew that elk for 5 minutes across multiple shots, Joe refused to listen to Chef Ramsay. As Gordon summarized during their confrontation, Joe was simply beyond reach, a perfect encapsulation of someone whose self-image was entirely disconnected from reality.
If I'm all that, you're my twin. What? Let's get over the bullshit.
I can cook, Joe.
That pretty much sums it up for Joe Nagy from the Mill Street Bistro. If you haven't already, I recommend checking out the double episode. It ranks as one of the series' highest rated, and for good reason. Joe created what many consider to be the show's most memorable portrait of restaurant delusion.
Right, fuck off then! You fuck off! We're stopping an El Quesadilla! Breaking news in Mexico! Get out!
It's almost like they've opened a soup kitchen for the elderly. And it's a sort of glamorous old people's home.
Moving to the UK series, head chef Toby at the Priory stands out for serving food Gordon likened to prison fare, and for his near collapse under operational pressure. The Priory was a substantial 100-seat carvery in a former convent, which attracted an older clientele looking for a low-cost lunch.
At home, you never have a big joint. It's really lovely to have something off, a really nice big joint.
Ha! You can say that again. Heading the kitchen at the Priory is Toby, previously employed at Planet Hollywood, now inexplicably managing a traditional English roast establishment. From the outset, Toby appeared overwhelmed by his responsibilities. Gordon's inspection revealed pervasive shortcuts, frozen Yorkshire puddings, packaged gravy, and pre-cut potatoes, clear indications of corner cutting rather than fresh preparation.
Look at the sponge there. Honestly, it's like King Kong's fucking condom. Look at it.
Most concerning was the discovery of spoiled food in storage, though Toby maintained none of it had been served to customers, a claim Ramsay found dubious.
What's that?
Lamb.
Lamb? You know your meat, don't you? Especially when it's fucking rotten. Look at it.
Particularly notorious was Toby's broccoli soup, an awful-looking green substance that made Gordon react to both its appearance and taste with visceral disgust. During the tasting, Ramsay rejected dish after dish. Toby's explanation that he hadn't got round to finishing some preparations indicated a fundamental lack of organization and professional standards.
Out of a packet.
Bastard.
Sorry?
No, not you, my oven.
During service, Toby's deficiencies became more pronounced. Initially slow, carving meat and assembling plates at a pace that created significant delays, his performance deteriorated further as the dining room filled. The situation became so concerning that Ramsay removed Toby from the line for his own well-being, an unusual intervention that effectively sidelined the head chef during the busiest period. This emergency change failed to salvage the evening. Customers departed en masse, some threatening to withhold payment due to excessive wait times. Ramsay's assessment was direct, characterizing Toby as lazy and stuck in a problematic routine. The following day, Gordon reorganized the kitchen hierarchy, effectively demoting Toby and elevating the second-in-command, Matt, to leadership for the relaunch. During the relaunch, with the new grill menu replacing the carvery concept, Toby exhibited continued emotional instability. Occasional outbursts of shouting and equipment banging punctuated his reduced role. Significantly, once removed from leadership, the kitchen functioned more effectively, with Matt maintaining control and calming Toby when necessary. Customers responded positively to the new menu items, with no apparent nostalgia for the previous carvery offerings. Ramsay commended the team afterward, specifically identifying Matt as essential to future success, implicitly confirming that Toby was inappropriate for leadership. Follow-up information revealed that Toby was terminated shortly after filming, reportedly for serving spoiled chicken, a final confirmation of the owner's loss of confidence in his standards. Unlike others profiled here, Toby was not markedly antagonistic towards Ramsay, but his passivity and incompetence proved equally detrimental to restaurant operations.
Attention, careful. Let go. Laisse le couteau là.
Heading to Paris, Gordon Ramsay encountered perhaps the most bizarre chef in the show's history. He was helping Piccolo Teatro, a small vegetarian restaurant run by Scottish restaurateur Rachel McNally, with Brazilian chef Daniel in the kitchen.
Mais c'est l'espace, c'est extraordinaire, regardez!
The chaos began with Daniel's complete lack of preparation and organization. At the start of dinner service, Ramsay discovered Daniel had done virtually no preparation, with the chef cheerfully noting he would simply make something up when the orders came in. This improvisational approach proved disastrous. Daniel required 20 minutes to assemble 2 simple salads as service began.
This is normal? Yes.
Welcome to the madhouse.
So we got a pistachio nut, a walnut, and now a Brazilian nut.
His execution was equally problematic. Dishes were routinely burnt, including a notably scorched gratin, and his vegetarian combinations were so poorly conceived that Ramsay labeled them an insult to vegetarians. Throughout these failures, Daniel maintained an inexplicably slow pace in the compact kitchen space, refusing assistance even as orders accumulated.
This Brazilian nut has lost his marbles.
Owner Rachel had effectively no control over Daniel, who demonstrated minimal respect for her authority. This tension culminated in a 3-way confrontation between Rachel, Daniel, and Gordon after repeated failures, with Rachel finally instructing Daniel to leave the premises. Daniel refused to leave the restaurant, though. At one point, things took a scary turn when Daniel grabbed a knife and fork and started waving them around, forcing Gordon to attempt to physically remove them from his hands. Ramsay had reached his limit after wresting the cutlery from Daniel's hand. In a display of his characteristic tough love, he physically escorts Daniel out, picking him up and carrying him down the street. When Daniel returned, he was once again refused entry. In a final parting gesture, he danced away, never to be seen again. The image of Ramsay physically removing a defiant chef from a kitchen remains one of the show's most unusual scenes, acknowledging that Daniel operated on an entirely different plane of professional reality.
Let me just tell you something.
You ain't telling me nothing. I'm done. I'm done.
You get your bit in.
Yes. I'm telling you one last time. You're a fucking dickhead.
Sebastian de Modica represents perhaps the most outsized personality in Kitchen Nightmares history. His concept menu featured over 20 flavor combinations of wood-fired pizzas and entrees, a system he believed would differentiate his establishment, but which in practice created confusion and operational challenges. Sebastian's attachment to this concept was extraordinary. He explained to Ramsay his hopes and dreams for the future.
My pizzas will be in supermarkets.
What?
I would love to franchise this and have a Sebastian's all over the world.
Oh my God.
Ramsay's direct response became one of the show's most quoted exchanges. "You haven't got one right so far. How the F can you think about 2?" Before stepping outside to describe Sebastian as gone, indicating his disconnection from business reality. And back in the kitchen, Sebastian was more than happy to tell his staff that he had won the debate he had with Chef Ramsay.
I just won that one. I won that one. Woo! I won that one. Whatever.
Sebastian?
Yeah. Hello, Chef.
Sebastian's culinary skills were fundamentally inadequate, having taught himself to cook from family recipes without professional training. Rather than addressing these culinary deficiencies, Sebastian doubled down on defending his concept, insisting it's what we're famous for, despite clear evidence that customers struggled to understand the menu and found the food quality poor. Under pressure, Sebastian eventually admitted, a lot of stuff isn't homemade, attempting to justify this by suggesting it was almost more important to serve food quickly than to prepare it properly. A philosophy Gordon found incomprehensible, given the premium prices charged. After tasting Sebastian's food, Ramsay delivered the cutting assessment.
Right now, okay, in my mind, I'm hoping that you can act because you clearly can't cook. The food was shocking.
Referencing Sebastian's parallel aspiration to enter acting. Sebastian's most remarkable action occurred during the relaunch. After initially agreeing to Ramsay's menu simplification, focusing on authentic wood-fired pizzas and limited fresh items,
All of you, yeah, are now going to become great tossers. I want you to become the perfect tosser.
Sebastian observed customers responding positively to dishes outside his concept. This positive reception triggered insecurity about losing his perceived uniqueness, leading him to secretly revert to his original menu during active service. This sabotage created immediate confusion in the kitchen as orders for the complex combination suddenly reappeared, dramatically slowing service. When Ramsay discovered this deliberate undermining, he confronted Sebastian.
Fucking disappointed.
You gonna calm down?
Stop pointing your finger at me. Are we gonna speak like men? You gonna speak to me like a man?
In an unexpected turn, Sebastian then cooled down and temporarily accepted guidance. Recognizing his staff's improved performance without his interference, and possibly fearing Ramsay's departure, Sebastian returned to the kitchen, apologized to his team, and completed the evening following Gordon's plan. The relaunch concluded successfully, with Sebastian acknowledging the benefits of Ramsay's changes. However, as predicted, this insight proved temporary. Post-show information confirmed that Sebastian reinstated his full-concept menu shortly after filming concluded, with the restaurant failing within weeks. His ego simply couldn't accommodate the necessary changes.
But I've never, ever, ever, ever met someone I believe in as little as you.